Welcome everyone to the LEC post-game lobby. We've had 10 games this weekend, but it isn't over yet. We're going to have a long conversation with G2's coach Grabbz, and I'm Sjokz, of course, joined here by the lovely Frosk. Hello Grabbz, welcome.
Hey, yeah.
Hi. Yeah, of course, not the most happiest of moments, right? Right after that game. Maybe first, give me your thoughts on what didn't work out in that game versus Mad.
Well, the game plan was clear. We failed to adapt to it, and we fell really far behind. So it's just hard, right? I think we were in a good spot, but then they get the match at 20 minutes, and then we fell too far behind.
Grabbz, I mean, obviously it's been a rough week for G2, you know, not having so much time with Perks and bringing in Pinoy, but if you had to kind of like just nail down one singular issue with G2 that if you fix it, you guys can kind of return to that success, what would you say that it is?
Having a clear idea of what we actually want to do, because it's clear that we don't have the best preparation time. The last 3 weeks we had 2 days with Perks and scrims, and I mean, if you think back about spring playoffs, we nailed down a style after midlines. We only played for scaling. And then actually we also could prevent dives and play for it. Right now, we're not quite sure where the meta lies, what we want to play. And I think it shows also in our drafts and playstyle. And unfortunately, it's not a single thing, right? We do many individual mistakes, silly mistakes, play better on priority. So we're just playing bad right now. And that's just the truth. And we're confident that we can switch it around with preparation, but it's hard.
I'm really glad that you kind of used that word confidence, because that was kind of the follow-up question that I had for you is, with these issues, like what is the team atmosphere? Because this is something that G2 have never really been tested before. I mean, outside of your loss to FPX and kind of the initial fumble against Mad Lions in playoffs, you guys have never really been beaten or been down. And that's what I've been waiting for. It's like when G2 are down, how well do you guys get back up? So what is the aura in the house, if you will?
I think it's fine, and we all know about the situation, right? Actually, by the way, if I talk weird, I hear myself double, and I'm not used to it like you guys, so it's really good for me.
We're gonna try and fix that for you, actually. If production heard that, if Grabbz hears himself double, so we're just gonna try and fix that. But you're doing great so far, so please continue.
I try. Anyways. So we went into the week and we said, all right, we didn't say it, but we felt if we go 1-1, that would be good. And, oh, it's perfect now. I can't hear myself. But the 0-2 doesn't hurt us because, again, we took the break. I think everybody knows about the circumstances right now. Don't have to go more in depth there. And again, it clearly shows, for example, yesterday, and the limited scrims that we had, Senna was not a big issue. And then suddenly it becomes an issue on stage. And we felt in draft that we can play this bot lane matchup, and suddenly you can't. And that's just not about player skill, it's just about matchup-wise, and then the game is really hard. Today was a bit better, but they wanted to snowball, and they could because we didn't respect the dive. So it was all snowballs, but as Frosk asked, you don't lose confidence losing 6 best of ones after last year and the year beforehand we had. And sure, it sounds always very cocky if you say we can come back, but I believed if we really lock down one style, it doesn't matter if it's snowballing or scaling, and we actually play to win these games with highest of effort, and we will. Maybe it's also on me that we missed the point of actually stopping this cruising, as we said in the beginning of the split, right? We were very vocal saying we don't want to burn out too early. And now, I mean, it's not panic mode yet, but we should realize that even though we say we don't care about seeding, that we want to have 1 to 4 going to playoffs. And to reach that, we are kind of to step up. We're 5-6. In hindsight, though, like I'm still happy that we got 5 wins. I mean, the circumstances were so weird, and I'm still very happy about the guys, how calm they are. Because of course, like I'm not gonna sit here laughing and saying we're fine and nobody cares, right? We lost 6 games, and I think we never lost as many games already together in a regular season. And we're all angry about that in effect, but the confidence in each other is still very high, and we know that if we pull in the same direction together, it will show on the Rift.
Wow, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. I got to thank you for being so candid and just saying also like maybe it's on me the way I've approached this and that. But I also think it's a hard one to handle because you can't forget that the situation you've been put in is just extraordinary and is a very hard one to deal with. But now it's up to how you react to it, right? So I kind of want to look forward, and with all of that you have in your back pocket, right? Because even if you haven't lost 5 games in that quick succession in a split, you've been in series where you've been down and out, right? And you've been in the World Championship or at MSI where you've been down and out, or if you've been in hard games. So how confident are you as a coach that despite those setbacks, in these next 4 weeks, 5 weeks, actually 3 weeks and a super week, you'll be able to get back in form for playoffs?
Very confident. The most important part for us is to realize that why we lose. And I think there were some games in draft where like there's a Cassidy pick where it doesn't fit, or yesterday the draft was really hard to play. Today, even though it sounds very easy, it is actually to like prevent the dives if we just communicate a bit better. So it's not like we're sitting here wondering what happened to us. It's very clear that one big part of it is preparation, which hopefully next week we have a full screen week and we can actually agree on what we want to play. And the other stuff is, for example, I believe that those 2 dives they got off, they shouldn't get off if you just play a bit better. And I have full confidence in my players. The next time it won't happen. And they have the same confidence. So I'm not worried at all. They're not worried. Again, we're all a bit frustrated right now because losing never feels good, especially if you lose against our legitimate lines, teams we actually respect in a way that we think also going forward they could be a threat. So of course you want to show a good showing against them. But either way, I have no doubt in my mind that these 5 players will show why they are still the best in Europe, even though it doesn't look that way right now.
Grabbz, I'd love to kind of pick your brain about the rest of the league and kind of the, not just the Rogues and the Origins and the Mad Lions, but also the SKs, the Misfits, and the Vitalities. These teams that have gotten progressively better. There's a lot of conversation that, you know, if you misdraft, if you don't have preparation, that these teams now can rise up and take a bite out of you. Do you think that that's just the nature of the meta, that draft is just that much more important? Or do you think also on an individual level, you know, the Crown shots have gotten better, or the Larsons have gotten better, and that they're able to actually match you guys in the skill matchups, like when you talk about those dives? Like, which one is it? Is it just the state of the game is really relying on draft, or the individual pieces in the LEC are also getting much better in their talent?
The coupled answers, usually it's both, right? I do believe, though, that the current meta, in a way, hypes those teams or hurts us, let's say specifically, and Fnatic, because I think we both are teams who are very creative in draft, and we find win conditions in weird places, but the current meta just doesn't allow it. There's like split pushing is almost dead. Like there's no champ that will actually pressure side so much in the current meta. Like it used to be the Sylas, Akali, Aurelia, Jace, Ryze. There's nothing like that currently, and if you try to get queued somewhere in the draft, then you get punished. And like yesterday, for example, we like damage and there's a malfight, and we can't split push and we can't team fight, so we just lose. So I think that hurts teams that are very creative. And as you mentioned, for example, a team like Rogue is very stable. They actually have this one style, and they had the same style last year. But this time around, the meta actually fits. So they look very good. So I'm not saying that's the only reason, right? They also improve, yada, yada. Don't want to be too disrespectful here. But I also think there's a reason why the league is so close together. The games feel kind of flippy. That being said, though, of course, I don't want to sit here and say it's about drafts only. We're playing bad, and that's why we're losing games. I don't think that the overall level has increased significantly. I think it says a lot about the league that Rogue is first place, because I believe Rogue is a team that basically acts as a bar, right? Like they play 80%. If you play better, you win. If you play worse, you lose. And that they have so many games just shows that no team really is consistent enough to actually beat them on a level where I think they should be beatable. I still think we, Mad Lions, Origin, Fnatic should be better teams, and I would bet. Maybe I shouldn't say that because they're young viewers, right? I would, if I'm being asked, I would say that those teams would win against Rogue in the best of 5. Okay. And I truly believe so. That being said, even a team like there's no really bad team in the league, and we can meme a team like Schalke, but I think they do a lot of good stuff. It's just they have a point in the game where they collapse. That's for most teams in the games. So the meta doesn't allow for many mistakes in draft, and also in-game it's harder to actually find these small advantages we usually got in the past against these teams now. And like, I talk a lot, I'm sorry, I know.
No, go ahead.
In the context of G2, for example, in the regular season, we almost had games where we like 5k behind, 6k behind, and suddenly one of our players gets a triple kill and we win the game. That's just not possible right now with the level of opponents and meta as well. So that just makes the league a bit more balanced.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Let's parlay this also into the standings. You know, Rogue, Mad Lions are, of course, on top. Then Fnatic, Origin, and SK took some huge wins this weekend. We just heard your opinion on Rogue, which I found very interesting. And I also heard you mention Mad Lions in the same breath as Fnatic, G2, and OG as the better teams, right? Is how you uttered them. What do you think is so special and so good about Mad Lions that makes you give them more credit? Of course, they just beat you, but aside from that.
If I would contrast them to Rogue, I do believe they have the same fundamentals, but Mad Lions as a team will have more aggressiveness and better ways to find other edges that Rogue wouldn't find. So, of course, I'm talking very black and white here, but I think Rogue has one defined playstyle. They follow that playstyle. If you can't punish them for it, they win. But Mad as a team like us and Fnatic that actually in a game can problem solve or find a curveball in the draft that fits the meta. Like they have a very good meta read as well. So I just have honestly a lot of respect for them, and I do believe they're a good team. Of course, if you're looking forward towards playoffs and internationally, pressures differently. They will have to behave differently as one of the best of 5. But we're lost to them in the best of 5, so they can even beat us and Fnatic there, obviously.
I mean, I respect you, Grabbz, in that like you're trying to cover all your bases, and obviously, no disrespect to any of the teams. I guess I just want to kind of push back a little bit in the grouping of Origin in there as well, because to my eyes, you have a fairly similar style in general between Origin and Rogue, with the biggest difference being Alphari in that top lane. Are you erring on the side of respect for Origin because of how they draft, because you think that their style is significantly different from Rogue, or just the power of their players? Like, what puts them above Rogue when it's Rogue who stand on top of the standings?
Of course, the veteran status of their players, first of all. I mean, of course, vendors, they're handsome, they have experience, but I'm not sure if they have the leadership qualities when it comes, push comes to shove. And I think the top gap is really big between those two teams. Alphari is the best top in the league right now. And Finn struggles a bit more than he should, probably. In certain scenarios, also, I just don't see another edge. And this meta fits perfectly for Larssen. All his champs are good right now. We're probably going to have 2-3 patches before playoffs, and if Orianna, Azir, Corki are still very good, then he's a very good player. I'm not sure he can change between metas. I'd also still believe that Origin just has a better bot lane with Upset compared to Hans Summer. Jackdaw performed pretty well the last 2 days as well. And so, I mean, in the past we always said Rogue is the mini Origin. I don't think much changed in that regard. Of course, I can always be proven wrong, right? But yeah, I just don't see Rogue adapting in a best of 5 well, or being able to actually pressure the better teams if we improve. Like, I say all of this knowing the ceiling of us, Fnatic, Origin, and Mad Lions being higher than from Rogue.
No, I understand. It's the idea that when you're comparing the teams, you're comparing the best of the Origins, the G2s, the Fnatic, the Mad Lions.
Just like on average, I would believe that if there's one patch, all of these teams prepare for one patch, on average, Rogue should be worse.
It's interesting. I mean, you also have more information, I guess, in terms of like scrims, and I feel like you look at it from like a whole development of a whole split or a whole season, as opposed to we as a broadcast. Of course, we very much look into how did a team do this weekend specifically, and what can we extrapolate from that. So,
I mean, in the past, I was always very vocal about Origin being very one-dimensional, right? And I just believe that Rogue has the same problem. And I think it just boils down to that. Of course, if Origin can beat Rogue, maybe that's a bit far-fetched, and maybe Rogue deserves credit. I just believe that in a best-of-5 setting, unless the meta is so super stale that, yeah, just scaling and Larssen gets the champions, that us, Fnatic, and Mad Lions should get clear advantages there. That's just about it. Again, I'm not saying in any way that I think Rogue is a bad team and they get 3-0'd every single time, right? I just don't believe they can consistently beat the best of 5 to be champion.
I mean, we'll see in the playoffs. That's the beauty of all of this, of course. The teams that actually get to playoffs, and that race is also very close. We'll then get to see those best of fives. Moving on now to some individual performers. In the Kia Player of the Game leaderboard, no G2, sadly. We have Crowny in first, then Larson, a humanoid. Oh, he slipped in, Caps. I didn't realize. So we have Patrick and Caps there at the bottom. This is also pretty... like weird, because normally, and in the all-pro votes and all that, it's usually all G2 all the time, right, Grabbz? So I think it's kind of telling that all those other teams are stealing the spotlight, or those other players.
It's also really cool to see a player like Crownshot at the high end. It's fairly rare when you get like kind of like a middle of the pack to like lower of the pack team, but because every single time like we picked up enough wins for him to be on the leaderboard, and then the fact that he's consistently getting it every single time is actually always really cool to see. Fun fact, Doimby actually had something very similar back in the LPL way back in the day where his team was like almost last place, but every time they did win, he was MVP, and now look where he is.
Yeah, you just had to bring up Doimby in an interview with Grabbz. You just couldn't keep it to yourself.
I didn't even realize. I'm so sorry, Grabbz. Trigger.
I would love to say I healed at this point, but I think I will never heal from that final, so it's fine. I just live with it.
We all suffer.
I cry after the PGO, don't worry.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, I just want to say, we're going to sign off in just a second, but really thank you for like opening up to us and having this conversation after a tough week. We really appreciate it, Grabbz.
Yeah, there's no use in crying, right? Again, we have high confidence, so even though it looks kind of bad right now, we realize what our mistakes are and we just improve on them.
I think the fans will definitely appreciate that candor as well. As for us, the LEC returns next Friday. The race for playoffs keeps getting closer. Of course, we're going to take a quick look at the schedule because you can put your money where your mouth is. G2 is up versus Rogue in the match of the week, Grabbz.
Oh, well, good time to prove my words, right? And if we lose, then credit to them. And then I don't know, that Twitter can let me say something, I don't know. Then I will praise them to the heavens and I will say the words or something, I don't know. But I think we will win, yeah.
You're just writing the hype video for us. It's already been done, like shoot the interview.
And you're playing Schalke on the first day, and that could be... That's a trap card too. Like they can be.
Here's an actual question: how much do people sweat now when they face Schalke? Because it's like, you know that you shouldn't lose to Schalke, but you know that they can definitely like mess you up. Does it almost make it like more nerve-wracking?
I do believe everybody who prepares for Schalke actually sees that they do good stuff. Like nobody will go into the game thinking they're free and they're bad players. So I do believe you just enter the game like anybody LEC team and take them seriously. So I don't think it's more of a trap. At least I don't believe that we care about this extra pressure of having to beat Schalke.
All right, cool.
And to be honest, we're 5-6, so we can't really pretend like we're the kings right now, right? We're 6th place with Misfits, so yeah, we're almost there with Schalke on the bottom. So
yeah, I mean, Magi2 did look like a 1st place versus a 6th place team is kind of what we saw on Twitter. True. I know you can dish it out and you can take it. I hope people won't be mad at me for saying that, Grabbz. Thank you so much for talking to us. We'll see you next week, and that was all.
Thanks for having me.
That was all from us here in the LEC. Across the Atlantic, though, CLG versus Dignitas is already underway, and we will be back next Friday for more League of Legends. See you then. Good night.
Speaking of free.
Temper Fate just hits the edge of Odoamne, and now he's caught between Trick and the rest of SK. A great shockwave into the Infernum. Moonlight Vigil only hits on towards the back line, and here comes the package. Larson in the Hexag Ultimatum cries, Showstopper up towards the back of the fight, and already he's dead. Caedrel's next on the menu, the next target he's ticking away, and Vander will take him down. The Showstopper used on Torre, and here comes Hans Summer. He opens up in the Infernum, the Graviton finds the root, and Patrick is forced away as the double kill comes down for Larson.
But Razork has already completely cleared his camps and is level 4, so needs Alpha to come in clutch.
Alpha's the first one to move the lane, and Dandan still has to stand there and farm. Razork down below, flash under the tower! Cersei gets first blood. Origin gets a Quadra, and they win the game before the Penta can come in! Alfari is as disappointed as you can be. Hilly is donating his life away. He was trying to buy some time inside the pit. It is just picked up by Vitality. 1, 2, 3. There are 4 kills. There is a Baron, and that is simply unacceptable. 36 kills in 32 minutes. It has been fun to watch. Here comes Self.
Oh, God! Bumbo's gone, and that's a big fear.
Beyond Death comes out. The Emperor's Divide locks up everyone from Vitality. Multi-man knockup from Bumbo. The rest of Fnatic come in, and Nemesis stays alive the entire damn time.
They are a team, or they're a composition that really starts to spike around here. He dodges it!
Oh, that was great. The Protobelt over the Petrifying Gaze into a shield of Duran. Kazi's hopping all the way forward. The range should just be about enough. Here comes the
my word!
Counter-strike. It might not even be needed. Mad Lions are inside the base. Kazi is using that martial poise to dance over G2's corpses.
Now you see him, now you don't. Who's that? That's Karzi.